Xbox One, now $349.
Captain, wake up. Something has happened.
Years, Professor. Let's see what kind of galaxy we woke up to.
We've detected a large incoming enemy force. Eradicate them!
Bench, ready for assignment.
Taking fire! Ghost under attack!
Enemy forces spotted. Sending location.
Our allies' base is under attack.
As I predicted, the enemy is nearly done for. Protect the containers! Push them back!
Xbox One S, starting at $299.
Years, Professor. Let's see what kind of galaxy we woke up to.
We had a very specific story we wanted to tell, and in particular, new characters that we wanted to introduce. And I think RTS players have higher expectations from story, and we wanted to make sure we did that in the strongest way possible.
At the end of the original game, the Spirit of Fire and its crew were adrift in space. The crew's in cryosleep, and fast forward 28 years later to Halo Wars 2, they awake to find themselves above a Forerunner installation. Halo fans, especially those who've played Halo 3, will recognize it as the Ark. It's the largest and most powerful of the Forerunner creations, and it's also the birthplace of the Halos. It's literally the place that made all of the Halo rings, so that's the kind of power that's contained there. The only connection they have when they wake up is a small signal, one emergency beacon, that's coming from the surface of the Ark down below.
We wanted to put everybody in this position where things are different, things are new, no one's really sure what's going on. You know, Isabel is a very different kind of AI. She's a logistics AI. She's not a military AI. She is not like a Cortana or a Serena.
She shows up in a way that we haven't seen AIs behave in Halo before. She's freaked out. She's seen all of her friends die. She's seen her outpost destroyed.
She's a little trepidatious, does not want to stick around.
She warns them that something bad is still on the Ark and that they need to run away.
The Spartans from Halo Wars, last time you saw them was in the original Halo Wars, just tearing down a pack of elites. And here are those same Spartans being taken apart by one guy. Who is this guy?
They meet Atriox for the first time. He surprises them. The Spartans expect a brute, they get much more than a brute in Atriox.
There's actually more to this guy. He's not just a really strong brute.
He's good at tactics, he's good at outthinking his opponents.
That was the genesis of that character. of what if one brute was not only stronger than the others, but also incredibly intelligent. Atriox is something the universe hasn't seen before.
The fact that he can surprise and then beat 3 Spartans in hand-to-hand combat sets the stage for who's in charge of the Banished and the kind of threat they pose.
From a visual standpoint, we wanted to carry over enough of the original Covenant technologies, but at the same time, being in your face, more about hard hitting and close combat.
You know what a Wraith does if you've played Halo, but you've never seen a Wraith look like this before.
Lots of layered armor, lots of ramming spikes, things that spoke to a brute's sensibilities and aesthetic choices.
This is who they're going to have to fight. This is who Captain Cutter has to beat.
Our astronavigation system can't pinpoint a location. We're not on the map anymore.
But as the captain of this ship, he is 28 years out from his last set of orders. Like, what do you do when you are supposed to report into this hierarchy, but you literally haven't seen them for almost 3 decades?
We didn't drift out of the galaxy in 28 years, Professor.
The crew wakes up, they have no idea what's going on, and he comes across this massive Banished force.
He's always chosen his crew over his own advancement.
They've been through hell and back, and they wake up in this universe they don't understand, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to protect his crew. And that sets off a really fascinating face-off.
RTS players are the guys who don't just do something, they think about why they're doing something. When you watch an intense chess match and you're seeing a battle of the minds, a battle of tactics that isn't even just on the board, it's 5 moves ahead, 10, 20 moves ahead.
This ability for the action to just kind of turn on a dime.
If you know the person you're playing, you might know what their favorite tactics are.
You know, you think you got that game wrapped up, and then all of a sudden, 2 bases go down, another base gets built.
They think they've got you, they've got their units coming in, and then you just drop death out of the sky.
Do you build for long-range siege? Do you go air? Do you go heavy guns?
What's my enemy doing? How am I going to counter-react to that?
Time's ticking down, the score's ticking up.
I've taken on board what you've thrown at me. Now I'm going to dismantle that.
First thing I had to figure out was who we were going to work with on this, and my mind immediately went to Creative Assembly.
They are synonymous with RTS.
These guys have been doing this for 20 years. They're still at the top of their game.
We wanted to make this feel like a game that was very much a sequel to the original.
We already have a wonderful RTS, and we're trying to build on top of that.
What we really wanted to do was add layers of depth so that a wide range of players could have a fantastic time.
Bring those players in and go, actually, it's not really that complicated.
It's a real action-focused strategy game.
We're also doubling down on the size of these environments, so I have the space to get involved in some serious combat.
If you want to practice your base strategy, you can go into domination, you can go into deathmatch. If I'm in the mood for a fast game, I can jump into strongholds. So we've got different kind of ways to play the game for different kind of players.
We absolutely want those hardcore players, and we've absolutely got games and game modes that are suited to that. But then we've got, on the other end of the spectrum, modes like Blitz. It's something nobody's ever done before.
Blitz is a whole new way to play RTS.
We're really excited about Blitz.
It really changes the way people will look at RTS games.
Blitz is a fast-paced, arcade action version of Halo Wars 2, where instead of building your army at a base, you're building them before a match as a deck of cards. And you fight by deploying cards from your hand into the battlefield in real time.
There's no base building, there's no economy management, it's all about the combat.
I don't want to worry about tech trees. I don't want to worry about resource collection.
The original design intention for Blitz was to make something really accessible that everybody could enjoy.
Whether you're new to strategy games or an RTS veteran.
Experience the really cool bits of RTS, so commanding a huge army, bringing down huge leader powers.
It's all about playing the right card at the right time.
At the end of the match, you're wielding these large forces with all sorts of different powers and abilities.
And start bringing out bigger guns, marauders, blisterbacks.
Even if you're a really seasoned vet, it's such a different way to play an RTS.
Building a deck is going to be heavily influenced by the leader that you choose going in.
You'll have a number of cards that are unique to that leader.
Trying to differentiate each leader to make them feel like they have a unique purpose and a unique play style.
I tend to be a little more aggressive when I play, so I will lead towards like an Atriox or a Decimus.
I like that we're taking a risk. We're making something really exciting that I think people haven't seen before.
You're playing with the units on the field, you're playing with the leaders and the abilities. I think you're also taking on the player, and you're reacting to what their actions are. You really can turn the tide.
There's always an opportunity to kind of fall back to your base, shut down your opponent's tactic, and then come forward with a strategy of your own.
That's one of the joys of RTS, is the battle's never over till it's over.
What happened down there? Isabel?
5 months ago, the portal from the Ark to Earth shut down without warning. A month later, he arrived.
He?
The Brute. Their leader. His name is Atriox. During the war, the Covenant used his clan as expendable muscle. Told them dying in battle would speed their holy journey. And none ever returned. Until he did. And so battle by battle, war by war, Atriox was born. With every victory, his legend and his hatred grew. Eventually, both were impossible to conceal, and they tried to banish him. In everything we know about the Covenant's 1,000-year history, Atriox was the first to defy the Covenant and survive. And his defiance inspired others. The Covenant had 2 targets in those years. They almost got us. But Atriox, they never came close.
If we don't stop him now, we leave the galaxy at the mercy of a monster.
He killed everyone I was supposed to protect. At this rate, it'll be over soon. That is what you're up against, James Cutter. We need to run as far and as fast as we can. However we got here, it wasn't us who initiated the trip.
Find out who's sending that signal.
Roger that, Captain. Recon only.
Where are the survivors? What's the strength of the Covenant force here?
Covenant? No. Listen, you're in incredible danger.
What was that?
Oh no. His name is Atriox. The whole damn Covenant couldn't contain him at the height of their power. And all you've got is one old ship and half a crew to staff her?
Johnson, get those guns back inside.
Multiple breaches.
Other guns! That ship brought these monsters. Killed everyone I was supposed to protect.
Where you see half a crew, Isabel, I see family. And where you see one old ship, I see home.
And that is always worth fighting for.
Show them what power really means around here.
Get the Ultimate Edition and play 4 days early.
The process starts with character, right? It starts with story and character, and that drives everything else, because all the detail and explosions and fidelity we add on top of that is nothing if you don't believe in those characters and the story they're telling you. I think one of the first things we did when Kevin was talking to us about it was, okay, well, these are the characters we have. Who are the new people we want to introduce? The biggest of which was Atriox.
Put a lot of effort into establishing a new enemy, because you can have a great good guy, but he really needs to have an equal bad guy. A brute who can outthink you as well as outfight you physically is a very different kind of a threat, and so that's really where Atriox was born.
He was often sent on suicide missions, and he always returned, and that made him dangerous to the Covenant. So when we encounter him, he's at the crux of finding a way to amplify and strengthen that army.
From a visual standpoint, everything should look like it should hurt you or potentially kill you. We wanted to layer that on top of some of that recognizable Covenant technology. So lots of ramming spikes, lots of layered armor, things that spoke to a brute's sensibilities and aesthetic choices. And then we've also given him little trophies, little very subtle elements that kind of speak to maybe what his past has been like, you know, things that could have just been from somebody that he's dispatched in the past and decided to just keep as a trophy and make it part of his collection. But also the form from function, where armor is at serves a role. You know, he would be more protected around the core, like his chest, and he's got a larger shoulder pad because he's got an augmented gauntlet. Like, this should feel like a bipedal tank.
I wanted to have a reason for you to fear him, and the best way to do that is have Isabel tell you who he is and why we need to run.
Spartans, thank God. We have to get out of here.
When we first meet Isabel, she shows up in a way that we haven't seen AIs behave in Halo before. She's freaked out.
When we created Isabel, we wanted to make a different kind of AI. AIs are generally perfection. We wanted a flawed AI from the outset.
We wanted her to be a little bit more rough around the edges. She's logistics, so she's, you know, kind of like the tank girl. Ripley from Aliens 2 was a big influence in that.
I need her down there with me.
Isabel?
Sorry, sir. After recent battle reports, you should have figured out that there are rules around here. I intend to break one.
We had a real task set out for us in finding not only the person who will be Isabel, but what that voice is. And I think we couldn't have had a better actress for the job.
Sir, yes, sir.
With the way that we shoot mocap, it has to be the same person who we're scanning for our character model. So this person not only has to look like the character, but has to act like the character and has to sound like the character.
To get the likeness and fidelity that we really wanted, the technology demands that you essentially cast who you want to be that character. It's a creative choice, but it's also to showcase the best technology that's available out there. When it works so well, and you just get everything at once, and you really breathe life into that character.
It's almost like directing a movie, right? At the end of the day, I mean, cinematics has always been somewhat like that, but now you've actually got us in the studio directing these actors. The process has just changed so much. I really think those first cinematics of the original Halo Wars just kind of raised the bar for the industry as a whole, and that's what we're doing again.
I think it's important not to miss, the point that people love these characters that we're creating, and that requires us spending time and effort making sure that they're well-rounded and real. From the first word on the page, to the first design we draw, to the actors that breathe life into them, to the final lighting and animation parts that we do here. Every single piece needs to fall into place. There's a lot of people out there that expect a lot from this franchise.
That to me is the most exciting thing when you are putting a face to a brand new character. You're creating a new digital life, which is pretty awesome.
What is Halo music? It's very thematic, character-driven moments.
I mean, there is a long legacy, and for us, we wanted to distill the essence of what those were.
There's kind of this sacred element.
The orchestra, this larger-than-life sound. And
with Halo Wars 2, we were kind of handcuffs off and gloves off. I mean, it was like, we have a chance to do something completely new. When I sat down with Brian and said, hey, we want to launch a whole nother score, rebirth the whole franchise, or a part of our existing franchise, how are we going to do that? And so we thought, well, let's call Gordy. Gordy's someone I've known for years, and we've been wanting to work together forever, and we were just waiting for that perfect project to show up. The Bryans and their completely unique sound with Gordy's complete mastery of the orchestra, and it was like, wow, I think this is going to be groundbreaking.
Something that I wanted to do, and we discussed this in the beginning, was approach this score very thematically. So each character having a theme and sort of a more old-fashioned traditional approach to the score, but done in a modern way.
We wanted new themes and that still kind of feels like Halo, but it also moves the story further and taking the sound, into the sort of next generation of Halo music.
With Atriox, he's a brute and this huge, intimidating character. There's a darkness to a lot of the sound texture with him.
He's a tragic figure in an interesting way. There's a little bit, there's sort of a sadness and a hope.
As an audience member, you see this character and you can relate in some way and understand where he's coming from. And I think that the best villains in history always have sort of this backstory that you can relate to. And so you can understand exactly why they are the way they are.
It's funny, just like we have this compelling new character with Atriox, Isabel is just as compelling, if not maybe even more so in a different way. We wanted someone to be relatable. There was a delicate side, an emotional side, but there's a really strong side to her too.
Isabel is a hero, and we wanted to approach it that way and make sure that it was a theme that could be translated and heightened in the important moments.
But then there's also how her theme intersects with Atriox's theme. This is true crafted orchestral writing, and this is Gordy's mastery of the orchestra coming into play.
For me, it was a great challenge to actually get in and study the sound, sort of the harmonic language of the Halo world.
I knew it was going to be cool, but until we heard it being performed by the orchestra at Fox,
suddenly it comes to life, and it's just this amazing, breathing, living thing.
When you're loading into a match, think about what you want to do in that first minute.
Already be talking to your teammates.
Don't hesitate, just get aggressive and get out there as quick as possible.
The thing you need to look out for in deck building for Blitz is be flexible.
You only have 12 very precious slots. I really try to make sure that I have everything that does more than one thing.
For a 1v1 deck, you really need a fairly balanced deck with a few flex slots. If you're playing in teams, you have a bit more flexibility because you can choose to specialize in a slightly different way. So you can go with heavier units and more powers.
I kind of build from my Uber unit down. What do I want the biggest, baddest hurt to be?
I think all the leaders bring something interesting to the table. They all have two different unique starting armies.
I definitely have recently been playing Shipmaster more. He starts with very fast units. He starts with Ghosts or Marauders, which are quick. He's got teleportation in his decks. He's got a lot of things that are about being all over the battlefield and kind of keeping your enemy on their back foot.
One of my favorite leaders is still Cutter. If you wait in the later game and you bring in, ODST drop, ODST assault group, turret drop, Cyclops drop, and then follow it up with close air support, you basically can put a huge army on the field in a matter of seconds.
If you're a really big fan of kind of being tricky and manipulative, then the Isabel leader would be a good one for you.
I really like the take control aspect of her units being able to kind of like hack AI or send hologram decoys.
The Kodiak, I think, is a very valuable unit. It takes a little bit of effort to deploy it and undeploy it, find good places for it. They can put down a heck of a lot of firepower in a really short amount of time.
I love aerial units. Their big strength is terrain is not really an issue. It's great for swooping in and capturing points.
Make great use of the healing units like the Engineer and the Nightingale. Those are some of the most important units in Blitz.
I definitely like to throw things like Blisterbacks out there and try to kind of control areas on the ground.
Some Nightingales with some Hornets flying cover are really an interesting, powerful combination.
Skirmish, maybe one of the best things about it is that it gives you some really good training on how to reduce your build times.
It's a great way to learn the game. It's a great way to actually experiment with different strategies.
How can I get to my best point the fastest? And Skirmish is a great way to get that repetition in and practice that.
Get your economy going fast. There's loads of ways to capture resources, whether it's through points, running around the map, get your Marines out there, start picking up crates, go and see what the AI is up to. Because if you're playing Skirmish, assume it's coming with the rush. Start building turrets.
Hi, my name is Dan.
And I'm Cassie.
And we're here to run you through some of the game modes you can play in Halo Wars 2. Deathmatch is the classic mode. Pure and simple, it's a true test of RTS skill and mastery. Build bases, collect resources and unlock leader powers. Build massive armies and obliterate the enemy. Once all of their bases are down, keep them down for 60 seconds to win. This mode is where your build orders matter the most. Do you rush your enemy at the start of the match? Or hold on and wait for bigger units? Games can be over in 5 minutes or can be epic battles fought for hours. Deathmatch is perfect for the classic RTS fan who loves to focus on strategy and execution.
In domination mode, players win by capturing control towers across the map. Capturing control towers slowly fills up your domination bar. The first player or team to fill it wins. Players have to manage base building, resources, and tech levels, while at the same time seizing control of the map. Matches should last between 20 to 30 minutes. Because players start off with base turrets, rushing another player is risky. This makes domination a great mode for players who want to focus on battlefield tactics and strategy.
The new Strongholds mode is about fast-paced combat squeezed into 15 minutes. Quickly build an army, attack the enemy to gauge their weaknesses, then build another counter-army to drive them off. Finally, build a stronghold and move on to the next stronghold plot. Your only restriction is the population cost. Resources are infinite and base levels are unlocked automatically. Strongholds are built almost instantly and units train faster than they do in other modes, so the action is fast-paced and intense from beginning to end. At the end of 15 minutes, the team with the most strongholds wins. Strongholds is great for players who just want to jump straight into the action with epic battles.
Blitz is another new mode to the Halo Wars series, where players instantly deploy units and powers by playing Blitz cards. Collect and unlock Blitz cards by completing challenges, playing campaign missions, and ranking up. Blitz is fast-paced. Capture and hold more zones than your opponent to score points and win. Instead of base building, you collect energy to play more cards. Blitz is great for new RTS players, or for seasoned vets looking for something fresh and different. As you can see in Halo Wars 2, there's a game mode for everyone.
We look forward to battling with or against you on the 21st of February 2017.
Morgan Cansano is a really interesting character. Not only is she new to the Halo universe, but she's coming up from the ranks. She's a former Hellbringer.
Cansano is a leader that's certainly all about fire and damage, which really blends well with a leader, for example, that can stun or pull units into a certain place.
From a visual standpoint, it's going to bring a lot to the table. Fire is typically downplayed in games for performance reasons, and I think fire is one of our nicer effects in the game. So to have a leader centered around that, to me, is going to bring a fantastic spectacle to any battlefield.
Her strength really comes from using all of her flame attacks together. Getting in your flame hogs, dropping napalm missiles, setting the whole place on fire with Inferno. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and if you can't run away, you're done.
What's not to love? You have Pyromania mixed with mechanized units. That's an awesome combination. Cansano's Flame Cyclops is something that's near and dear to my heart because I love mechs, and any excuse to get another mech in the game, I'm all in.
It's super powerful. It can be upgraded to have this flame wall ability that can really do a lot of damage to anything that's in front of it on the ground. It's one of those units that's going to be great across all the different modes in the game. A really powerful unit to build up and upgrade for your traditional deathmatch modes, and also something that has a lot of impact when it's dropped into Blitz.
Cansano's other signature units is the Flame Warthog, which is a lot of fun because Warthogs are great, they're crazy, they jump around, they're super fast. So what better way to augment that and throw a giant flamethrower on that?
It's fast, can be further upgraded. Blitz offers a veteran version of the Flame Warthog as well.
I think she's going to be a really fun leader for those that like to be the harasser, like to be the in-your-face, and I'm going to go out early in game and just cause chaos.
But really for those hit and run, for capturing a point or taking down a base really quickly, Cansano's super powerful for those kind of scenarios.
So I'm really excited to see how Cansano is going to change the landscape of the game.
Flamethrowers in general they're dangerous to the user, they're scary, and they're very chaotic. So we really wanted to play with those themes and convey that across for visuals and how she plays. So I think if you like to play that way, you will really enjoy Cansano.
Wake up, troops! Hostile! What do we do against them?
Fresh meat has arrived.
Come on, ugly!
Now it's personal. The Banished shall control this place in Atriox's...
Check it out!
Okay, that's cool.
Insurmountable odds. Just the way I like it. It's good to be back. Johnson, good to go. Remember, Harvest, payback's still over. I can't pass up a second opportunity to kick butt. Let's show them how we did it in my day.
We're super excited about Colony. It's the next DLC leader in Halo Wars 2.
We wanted to get back to the Banished as soon as we could, and Colony is an amazing addition to the roster. Everybody loves Hunters.
They've never been in charge. They've never had a personality. They've always been completely alien threat from the Covenant. But now we've got a Hunter calling the shots, and it's cooking up some pretty interesting fun for Halo Wars 2.
One of the most exciting new units that we have with Colony are the Skitterers. Each Skitterer is a Legolo powered turret with legs.
In a way, mini Scarabs, but in large numbers and with the right tactics, can be sometimes just as deadly.
But their real power comes in actually attaching to other units. And depending on the size of that unit, you can attach 1, 2, or even up to 3 Skitterers to basically be associated turrets that follow that unit around and help defend it. Goliaths are another new unit Colony has, and they're Hunters on steroids.
Fans are used to encountering Hunters in Halo as a pair. They're always these Bond brother pair. Well, the Goliath Hunter is both of those units all put together into one. It's like just a wild primate, running through the enemy lines. It's insane.
Colony has a new hero unit, the Hunter Captain, which is another very strong Hunter unit with a heavy set of armor. The thing I love most about Hunter Captain is its ability to taunt other nearby units to attack it. It makes for an amazing tank unit and basically allows you to draw fire off of your other units that are trying to make an attack. So Legolo has a number of new leader powers that I think are really interesting and are going to change up gameplay quite a lot. One of the new powers is Living Barrier. Basically is a series of smaller Legolo colonies in armored kind of caltrop, tank trop, types of barriers.
You have the ability to really kind of have some area denial aspects to your play. You can, cordon off certain areas, trap enemy players. There's so many possibilities.
Vehicle Symbiotes is another power that I think is going to be really helpful for players. When you cast it, basically you've got Legolo worms moving into that vehicle and taking over to help pilot and basically increase its damage.
More speed, more damage, just it kind of mixes up across the battlefield. But again, it's this idea of many smaller entities working together to form a larger threat.
In addition to the other Hunter-related powers that Colony has, it also has a really good ability to drop in additional armies on the fly with a devastating host or a colony drop. And it has a great offensive power in the form of Hunter's Brand, which is basically a beam weapon attack that has very little warning and a quick cooldown.
So we're really excited to bring Colony out for Halo Wars 2 and see a little bit more about the Banished and what kind of soldiers, what kind of leaders Atriox has in store for us in the future. There's some really exciting options coming down the line, but for now we're going to see a whole new view of the Hunters through Colony. Hope you have fun.
Oh man, they look sweet.
I've been thinking about applying for ODST training. You think I can do it?
Anyone seen Robertson?
I feel like we're being watched.
What?
Fight time! Incoming! So, I told him, no matter how many push-ups he did, they're still never gonna make him a Spartan.
I think he just wants one of those helmets.
fail him one more time, I'll look around. And if we find prizes to bring back, how could that go wrong? I told you not to go inside.
We will.
So, turns out the Xbox briefing isn't the only place for exclusive breaking news. Right here on Xbox Daily, we've got a world premiere trailer for the newest chapter in the Halo Wars 2 saga. Here's Halo War 2's new expansion, Awakening the Nightmare.
I told you not to go inside.
All right, Halo Wars 2 launched in February, and we're already getting a new expansion. Joining me to tell us more are Brian Gerard, Barry Feather, and Kiki Wolfkill from 343 Industries. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Great to see you guys. Always great to see the 343 gang, and it's today is no different. Now, listen, the trailer we saw from Blur looked amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about Halo Wars 2 for people that don't know about it? Who wants to take that one?
Barry?
Oh, you're Halo Wars 2.
All right, Barry.
EP right here.
So Halo Wars 2, the original, we were UNSC fighting the Banished. In the expansion, we actually flipped that over on its head. We are fighting as the Banished, and we have an opportunity to play the bad guy. It's always fun to play the bad guy.
Sure.
And so I think that fans will be really excited to play as the Brutes, to have that kind of power.
I have been playing, I've been involved in the Halo universe for a long time. Not as long as Brian, but I saw the Flood in there. What's that all about?
Flood are a great enemy. The Flood are very terrifying. You know, we've seen it in other Halo games. The Flood are coming back here. The Flood are, a terrifying enemy. You know, the Nightmare Awakened. This is the whole point is we have to put them back in their bottle, because if they get out,
bad things happen.
The world ends with the Flood.
Now, you kind of alluded to it earlier, but for folks that aren't familiar with the Halo universe, why is the Flood, why is it a big deal for Halo fans?
Mostly because they can wipe out all sentient life in the universe. Small thing like that.
Right. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. I mean, we haven't seen them since Halo 3. And I have to say, because we played in the studio the other day, that like swarming infestation mechanic, like, you have a really visceral reaction to, right? You have
get it out, get it out, get it out.
Yeah, right. And you definitely don't want to be infected. So so it's kind of cool because it's such a classic element, and we get to see them come back and play them in a way that's super different from we've experienced them before.
Barry, what else can you tell us about this expansion coming up?
So again, there is the Banished campaign against the Flood. We have some new Blur cinematics. You saw a little bit of a teaser of the Blur work there. We'll have some more of that. We have 2 new leaders, 2 new Brute lieutenants of Atriox that will be playable in the Banished campaign, but also in multiplayer. On the show floor this week, we have Terminus Firefight, which is a new mode in the expansion.
Swarming.
Oh, look at them swarming. You can see it right there.
That it's more of a base defense type firefight. Waves of enemies coming in, building defenses. We have these new defenses called barricades that do various things. So it's all about how long can you last? How many waves can you play? And you can play as all of the leaders that we've released both in the original game and in DLC. So there's all these different tactics, and there's different, it'll be 3v3ve cooperative. So I'm Jerome and Aatrox, and how they work together, and all of those interplays will be super awesome.
So I want to point out, there's a lot of components to this, but there's a huge addition for the campaign and multiplayer. So what are some of the bullet points for each one that we can go over?
I'm not going to speak to your game, my friend.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what you're talking about. There is a full-featured campaign experience from the Banished. So you play the bad guy, like Barry said. You'll encounter the Flood. So there's going to be, how will Aatrox be able to face this new ancient foe? We'll find out. On the multiplayer side, beyond Terminus Firefight that Barry just mentioned, the team's coming out with 2 new maps for the classic multiplayer mode that's already in Halo Wars 2. But the best part is, those are going to be free for everyone. So if you already own Halo Wars 2, later this fall, you're going to get 2 more maps that are playable for Deathmatch, Strongholds, and Domination, just to make sure everybody can keep playing together online.
Now, Halo fans that have the Season Pass, what's up with them?
Yeah, Season Pass is still going strong. So we have been putting out content every month, new leaders, content updates, new features. Recently, Barry and the team added HDR support for Xbox One S, for example.
If you have an Xbox One S and you have a 4K TV with HDR, it looks glorious.
It is amazing. But we still have 4 leaders yet to come with the Season Pass, 2 of which are playable here at E3.
All right.
I think we're going to reveal that right now. We have Commander Jerome and the Arbiter.
Exclusive.
Both playable now. They'll be coming out later this month. And then we still have a few more leaders on tap and a special 2-campaign sort of add-on expansion that Season Pass holders will all be getting in the months to come.
Now that's great news, but the other part of this is there's tremendous excitement around Halo Wars 2 in the esports community. Kiki, tell us about that.
Well, we've got a couple things going on in July, but we have our big HCS. Both our European and North American finals are happening at DreamHack Atlanta. So that's going to be a huge event. We have a $200,000 prize pool, but what's really cool is that prize pool is partially funded by crowdfunding, and the other thing is it's the first time we've had our Pro League and our Open Circuit together, so literally anyone could win the $200,000. So that's coming up on July 21st.
Where do there's a lot of stuff that just happened. Where do people go to check it out online?
So they can go to halo.gg. Is probably the best place to go, but obviously twitch.tv/Halo and Mixer. Obviously, we're going to be big on Mixer.
All right, you guys want to take one question? We only have time for one question to the community. How's that sound?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, from the community, we have Roger1519. Will you ever be able to play as the Flood in a Halo game? Brian.
In any Halo game? Well, in Halo Wars 2, just to play, they are bad, but you will not play as the Flood.
You will not play as them.
You'll play against the Flood.
How would you do that?
I don't know.
They're everywhere.
Well, you can be the infection form.
Right.
I'll be like the big sort of juggernaut Colossus guy.
Right.
Ever? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
In Halo Wars 2, you'll play against them, not as them.
Right. So now 343 listens to the community all the time. You guys are unbelievable. So I keep asking. They may do it. All right, now Kiki, I understand you brought a little something along special for me.
You know that I love giving things away.
You do. I know you do.
So I will by proxy ask you to give some things away.
Oh, look at
this.
this.
15,000 people on the floor. So this is one of my favorite things. It's by AC Worldwide. So it's a Bluetooth speaker.
Wait a minute, that's a speaker?
Yes.
Speaker.
Not a cat helmet.
And it lights up.
It does. Look at that.
Lights up. I have one of these in
Pass this down. I want to take a look.
my woman cave.
You have oh, really?
At home.
I need to see photos of said woman cave.
Yes.
That
but
sounds
also signed by a bunch of 343.
Signed by everybody. Look at this.
Wait,
now I understand it also.
this?
It also makes some sounds, right?
It did.
Let's see.
I think I may have triggered.
Oh, you may have triggered it. All right. It's pretty extraordinary. What else did you bring along?
All right. So this.
Oh, here we go.
A doozy. All right. So this is Triforce made this hand-painted, life-size plasma rifle.
And these are all signed by 343
Yes,
Industries.
signed by 343ers. This one is the primary and preferred weapon of the Covenant.
Grimm signed it. I
Officer
see. I'm
Corps.
looking at it right here. I'm
So
looking
very
at it.
special.
Yeah.
This thing weighs 20 pounds, but life-size.
Now we're giving these
Very
away
cool.
on the show, right? Is that what we're
Yes.
doing?
So you get to pick 2 lucky people.
Okay.
at the show to get these gifts.
All right, so
choose
stay
wisely.
with us. No pressure. Stay with us. All right, sounds like Halo fans on Xbox and PC have a lot in store when Halo Wars 2 Awakening the Nightmare comes out this fall. And while the new Firefight Terminus mode is playable from the E3 show floor, those of you watching at home can join in on the action as well. Tune into the Xbox Daily on Wednesday when Brian and Barry are going to join us again to play a round of the new game mode. I want to thank everybody here. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, Larry.
And now it's demo time, baby! Joining me to put the game through its paces are Brian Gerard and Max Schlager. Max and Brian, thanks, guys. Nice to see you guys.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, Brian, so we're going to do live gameplay here, right?
That's what I'm told.
Because I said I am not having you guys back unless we're going to do it live. We'll do it live!
Yeah.
All right, so let's start it up and tell us what we're going to look at here.
Max, want to lead in here?
Yeah, we're going to be showing our new mode here, Terminus Firefight. It's a wave-based kind of horde mode, and Greg Stone is going to be demoing for us. This particular mode is really cool because you've got a base that you can build up like you would in your traditional deathmatch, but you've also got these new barricades and turrets and just waves and waves of enemies coming to get you.
So Larry, you know about Firefight, right?
I know it well.
And, you mentioned Gears, similar horde mode. It's you versus just wave after wave of crazy amounts of enemies. It gets harder and harder in the game. You'll be able to play 3 people cooperatively.
Yep.
And I believe it dynamically scale and become more difficult as more players join in. So Greg's goal here is to try to stay alive. Our demo at E3 is 5 levels.
5 levels.
And Greg's goal is to try to persist and not let them destroy the big spire we saw, which is called the Terminus.
Greg, just a few million people watching, no big deal, buddy. So he's at it over there right now. So this is new. This is now available.
Well, this content, the Awakening the Nightmare expansion, comes out this fall.
This fall, so this is an early look.
Yep, brand new mode. This will be the first time most people are here seeing it, but it has been playable in the show here all week at E3.
And you can play as the Banished.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's tell me about that.
Yeah, while he's getting started, in addition to this new mode, there is a campaign expansion. So it sort of takes place a few months after the events of Halo Wars 2.
Yep.
And the whole campaign plays out from the perspective of Atriox and his Banished forces. And if you saw the trailer on Monday, you know they find an ancient foe we haven't seen since Halo 3.
And that ancient foe is terrifying. It is, of course,
the Flood.
We're going to see the Flood in a little bit, right?
Oh, as long as Greg lives long enough, we will definitely see some Flood.
And let's be clear, you cannot miss it. So, Max, what are we taking a look at here?
So Greg is basically, he's building up some different defenses here. You saw him earlier. He was taking his turrets, doing some different upgrades on them. He was building down some of the barricades there, and you've got a few different kinds. Some of them, like he's got spike traps that you could place down. When you walk over it, it'll pop up and hurt people. You got barrels that you can shoot and explode, and you've got like these shield walls basically that just provide a hard barrier for enemies to get through. And the map here, one of your main goals is to expand out into different territories. We have a special scoring system for this mode that helps make it replayable. So it's all about how you control your territories and how well you can basically defeat the incoming enemies.
Right, so you can see he's getting ready here.
Yeah, I don't know if you play tower defense games at all, Larry, but this is kind of like that. You'll notice in the mini-map right down there, it's showing Greg exactly where the enemies are going to be spawning from, and you kind of see their path. So, like a tower defense game, he could go along that path, build the barriers that Max described, add some turrets, and kind of soften them up before they finally reach his base.
I mean, that's the interesting thing about Halo Wars 2, is that there's a lot of common elements from a few different games, but each of the different game modes there's a lot of completely different strategy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, totally. One thing Greg hasn't done, I'm going to call him out right now. Of course, there he goes.
Yeah, there he goes.
Halo Wars multiplayer is all about your leaders, right? Yeah. So we have 2 new leaders that we're showing off at the show here that's going to be released this month as part of our DLC Season Pass.
Yep.
I think fans will be happy to know that the Arbiter is back.
He's back.
The Halo Wars Arbiter has returned. So Greg wants to make sure he's using these leader powers because they're game changers and they're there for a reason. So I'm glad to see he's now doing that.
Yeah, and this in particular, every time we do a new leader, we're trying to do something that changes up the game style, changes up the way that you might play. So for the Arbiter in particular, he's got a lot of abilities that center around this rage mechanic, and so as you use leader powers, they stack up and they make your units stronger.
Right.
And it lets you use them more often. So it's really all about just kind of bringing in more constantly. And so hopefully Greg will have an opportunity to show that off on some of the bigger waves that come in here.
We saw we saw a lot of the defenses, but can you really outline line by line some of the new defenses we can expect?
Yeah. So basically, you start out, you've got a main base effectively, which you could still build your turret spots on and upgrade. Once you go a little further out, you could see these little wall segments here where you could basically build barricades.
Yep.
The barricades are different for UNSC versus Banish, so different advantages.
Yep.
You know, some are tougher, some are a little bit, they provide more mobility for your troops. And you know, like I said, here he's got kind of the 3 different templates, some that are more effective against incoming melee units, some that are just straight up shield walls.
By the way, I love the fact he's waiting for the next wave here, and he's like chatting with the fans.
There we go. And here we go. So now we're going to see how well some of these defenses work against the Flood, who starts walking in. And then as you expand out and build those bases, then you also get more turret slots, and so you get different kinds of turrets you can upgrade. And
all right, there we go. Yeah, we can see what's going on now.
Yeah, so this is our first Flood wave starting to move in. By this time, I mean, Greg's got a pretty nice sized force, so I think he's in pretty good shape. Also, I should just mention for folks that may not know, this game obviously looks awesome on Xbox One S. An HDR update was released with our last patch last month.
Yes, it was.
Also runs on Win 10 at 4K resolution, looks stunning. So,
and it also supports Windows, Xbox Play Anywhere.
Yep, buy it once, play it on both platforms.
Your progress in the campaign goes back and forth, and it's delightful.
So now things are heating up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Greg's doing
there he goes.
admirably.
Now he's starting to bring in those leader powers.
So you can imagine in a 3-player game, legendary difficulty, much more challenging, but pretty interesting. The 3 of us could pick different leaders and kind of synergize and use our leader powers in cool ways to really give us the advantage.
Yeah, he's really digging in there. How close? So the wave is kind of coming to an end here. We can see the enemies coming in.
Yeah, you see at the upper right there. He's right now in wave 4. This demo will go to, well, there's 5 waves, and he's infected 47 out of 111. So right now, we just got that notification. Wave 5 is about to start, which features the Abomination. Max, what's the story of that guy, by the way?
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the waves, too, is we're going to have these boss waves, these mini-boss waves, where you get some really big, heavy units coming in to attack you. And in this particular wave, we've got a Flood commander that's going to come in, and he's a really strong melee threat, and surrounded by a bunch of his minions there. And so he's going to come in, and you'll see that's going to put a lot more strain on Greg's defenses and his forces, so he's got to really make sure his base and his powers are ready to go.
Let's kind of dig in.
He's getting ready for it.
They should be coming in any minute here.
Any minute now. We're waiting for the big reveal.
Don't fail me now, Greg.
And,
you're just tuning in, you're watching a little bit of Halo Wars. This is the brand new downloadable content that's coming later this year, right, Brian?
Yep, it'll be out in the fall, Larry. It's a full campaign expansion. This is our new multiplayer mode called Terminus Firefight.
Oh, here comes the Flood.
There's the big commander.
God.
Yep.
Now we're going to find out what Greg's made of.
I'm having flashbacks to 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years since we've seen the Flood.
Look at that boss in the middle.
That's the Abomination.
Take him down, Greg.
So one of the things he tries to do is pull these units across these different defenses that he has.
He's trying to lead them on a little bit.
That's right, yeah.
God, the way those Flood swarm is unbelievable.
Yeah, they're not that powerful in their own right, but once enough of them get on top of you,
in typical Flood fashion.
Absolutely.
All right, because he's going after the boss now.
Yep. He's going to try and get around, and the bosses are always going to go after your Nexus. That's the home part of your base you really got to defend, so that's where he's moving towards.
Yep, it's coming down here to the final. Greg's already got 224,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things, too, about this mode is there's a lot of different factors that play into how you score in the mode. So you can choose your difficulty. That's kind of a multiplier. You've also got bases, and as you expand out, that increases your multiplier. If you lose them, it goes back down. How quickly you defeat the waves, and how many enemies you can destroy at any given time. All that factors into how you score.
I don't think this guy's even going to get near his spire. He's just kiting him. He's kiting him around like an expert.
He's doing a pretty good job here.
I feel like he's making this look easy. I mean, that is the caveat. We did make this a little extra easy demo for the show here, but at home it's going to be certainly more challenging.
Congratulations, Greg.
And I think that's about it. Greg's going to do it.
Apparently he's playing easy mode.
Nice.
Nice work, Greg.
Nice work, Greg.
Yeah.
All right. Earlier this week, Kiki Wolfkill brought us a Halo Plasma rifle that a bunch of you guys over 343 signed. And today we're going to give it away to a fan in the audience. Brian, you've been involved with the Halo community for a long time. Why don't you pick a lucky audience member?
Wow, the pressure.
Wow, look at this thing.
Let me see. It's really hard pressure. I'm going to go for the guy in the ODS t-shirt.
There you go. I'll let you. Come
on
up
down.
Here. Bring him up here.
I don't know how TSA will respond to this,
yeah,
but
you're on your own there, buddy. Nice to see you, man. Take
there you
this
go.
thing.
This is yours.
All right, we'll let you. Hold on, don't move. Oh, God, boy. All right. Thank you to Max, Brian, Greg, and what's your name? Dustin.
Full campaign expansion when this is our new multiplayer mode called Terminus Firefight.
Oh, here comes the flood.
There's
oh,
the big
my
commander.
God.
Yep. Now we're gonna find out what Greg's made of.
I'm having flashbacks to 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, you know, it's been almost 10 years since we've seen the flood. Yeah, you know, it's been almost 10 years since we've seen the flood.
Forge here. I believe teams Echo and India are compromised. Over.
Covenant? I'm not reading any brute signatures.
Not Covenant, sir. Something else. Something worse. Much uglier.
I'm having flashbacks to 10 plus years ago.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge. Oh, I'm down. Crap. Dang it, I got one on me. I'm back.
But for folks that aren't familiar with the Halo universe, for folks that aren't familiar with the Halo universe, for folks that aren't familiar with the Halo universe.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
Why is the flood? Why is it a big deal for Halo fans?
Mostly because they can wipe out all sentient life in the universe. Small thing like that.
Right. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. We haven't seen them since Halo 3.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
And we haven't seen them since Halo 3.
Forge here. I believe teams Echo and India are compromised. Over.
Yeah, you know, it's been almost 10 years since we've seen the flood.
We haven't seen them since Halo 3.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
I'm having flashbacks to 10 plus years ago.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
But for folks that aren't familiar with the Halo universe, I'm having flashbacks to 10 plus years ago.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
They've got you, they've got their units coming in, and then you just drop death out of the sky.
We haven't seen them since Halo 3. We haven't seen them since Halo 3. We haven't seen them since Halo 3.
Dang it, can't get away long enough to not let my shields recharge.
I tend to be a little more aggressive when I play.
Captain, we need damage control.
Something here. There's no willy, but no. Send off the girl, wanna grow, so there if it gets through.
Thanks, Janice. I clearly had the armrest.
You moved.
To get the drink.
You move it, you lose it.
I will have this armrest. And this is how.
First, I'll deploy a small talk offensive.
Hey, what are you listening to? Music? Huh? Is it music?
You'll counter by invading my personal space. I'll retaliate with biological warfare.
Oh, what is that?
Before calling in my covert ops operative, Sammy. Crushing your will to live.
Fine, take it.
Ensuring victory.
Genius, really. But I licked the armrest before you sat down. Back and forth. Twice. Full tongue.
Get the Ultimate Edition and play 4 days early.